This year in Life Teen, we have the opportunity to do something really magical. As it turns out, the coming year of Life Teen is going to be focused on scripture in the first semester. Now, I have reviewed the USCCB, the United States Conference of Catholic Bishops curriculum on how scripture will be taught, how they want scripture to be taught. This is significant for us here in the Diocese of Erie because the Diocese of Erie curriculum is the national USCCB, United States Conference of Catholic Bishops curriculum. So we want to match it. We want to be doing what they want us to do. We teach 9th graders and 10th graders. And so rather than split them apart into two distinct groups, what we do is we work in 2-year cycles. And the first year is everything that needs to be taught in 9th grade. And the second year is everything that needs to be taught in 10th grade. And so by going in an A-B kind of cycle, we are always, for every 2 years of students who are joining us in the Life Teen program, teaching the 9th and 10th grade curriculum from the USCCB. This coming year, we're focusing on scripture. Now, when I hear scripture, my first thought is, we're going to go and start reading Genesis and learning about all the different times and events in the Bible and the different people who show up along the way and so on, going from basically Genesis to the Gospels to the book of Revelation. But put the brakes on. Just pause if that's your impression, as it was my impression. As I started to read the curriculum, I discovered that the church has something rather different in mind for us for this coming year as we teach the scriptures. Rather than teaching the things I just mentioned, we're going to actually be forming more of an intellectual bedrock for approaching the scriptures. And what I mean is, rather than discussing only times and places and people in the Bible, reading the Bible itself and going into it and focusing on just what's on the page, we're going to discuss the broader context of how we as Catholics view the Bible. So we will be discussing topics like revelation. What is revelation? Where does the Bible fit into revelation? What is the canon of the Bible? What is the church's role in interpreting the Bible? Not just reading the Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, but what does it mean that Matthew, Mark, and Luke are synoptic Gospels, and that the Gospel of John occupies a place of its own and is not a synoptic gospel? What does the interrelationship of Old and New Testaments mean? These kind of topics. So we're kind of taking a step back from reading the Bible itself and getting into the nuts and bolts of it. We're taking a step back and we're going to look at the intellectual foundation by which we as Catholics approach the Bible. So this is very exciting. And so we're going to have a great opportunity to do that in the first few months of the coming year, what will be our first semester of the coming year. And what I would also like to mention, following on from that, is that I keep my ears open. And a few things I heard from last year is, number one, people are very pleased, with the quality of the presentation that we're doing, and so pleased with so many other aspects. The one thing that some of the students are not so pleased with is they want to be more challenged by the material. And I have heard this from a number of students. Now, we're in an interesting position. We have a large group of over 60 students. We dare not go too fast, or we would risk leaving too many behind. And yet, I fear that we are going a little too slowly, and we're risking that other group not being challenged enough. And so, not a great pivot, but I think we are this year going to have the opportunity to pivot just a little more to make things a little more advanced for the kids and a little bit more in depth, and to treat some subjects a little more deeply. And along those lines, out of our 20-some Life Nights that we're going to have this year, I'd like to designate 4 of them to be classes in the more traditional sense, where 2 in the fall and 2 in the spring. And this is from beginning to end a class. Now, we're going to have about 10 to 12 Life Nights in the fall and 10 to 12 in the spring. So we're talking about taking 2 of those and having them be a more traditional class, an hour-long class on particular topics. And I really feel that by making that subtle change, we can basically run everything else as we have always run it. And as we continue to run it, we can have those fun Life Nights, those icebreakers, those retreats, the social nights. We can pretty much have all of that. And yet we want to be sure that once or twice a semester, we're really going to go in there and have just a good class, which will be discussion based. For much of it, we'll have a discussion, question and answers, very much on the level of 9th and 10th grade. And yet, rather than opening up with the icebreaker and maybe doing a 15-minute teaching and then spending a lot of time at the end on the small groups, this will be more of we'll begin about an hour-long teaching and then end. And so that'll happen twice a semester. And I have a feeling that that will give us the opportunity to ensure that we really are covering this amazing subject of the scriptures, as well as everything else we're going to be teaching this semester and this year. And I think also it will ensure that no student leaves there feeling that they have not been presented with something that's worth their medal, something that is really interesting and challenging and thought-provoking. And I'm thinking that probably for this year, I would like to lead one of those classes in each semester, and then to see if other people would like to lead the next one. And if not, well, then I will lead them both. And be very comfortable doing so, and I think it'll be a fun year. So that's where we're at. We are planning for the next year of Life Teen. I've got the first semester basically planned out. We will be beginning in probably late September, and I've sought and received a lot of feedback from the different team members, and basically it has been said that they are just so pleased with Life Teen. They're excited for the coming year. What they probably would like most of all is to start a tiny bit earlier and then have a week or 2 break at certain points, just to break up their schedule too and give them a chance to catch their breath. And so this coming year will involve the continuation of those email updates I started at the end of last year, so that we are all on target and on task and kept in the loop with things. It will be much the same as any other year in terms of presentation, but with the addition of 1 or 2 classes, probably 2 classes per semester per se. And I think we're going to have a great year. I am very excited, and I think it's going to be an astoundingly great year. And I thank everybody for being a team who teach, students who show up and work hard and participate each week, and parents who support this program, as well as everyone else on parish and staff and clergy, everybody who supports the Life Teen program. It really is a great joy.